Thanks, Emma. Great presentation and good passion. Enjoyed that front end where you were explaining all of that. A couple of things.
Yeah.
Just you made a decision that was concrete, and looking at that shot.
Yes.
And that butts onto a road. This one, doesn't it?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So two things. One of them is there an opportunity there to engage with the street and the road, apart from the void? And the other one is that if the brick building is so dominant, why isn't it brick and why is it concrete?
As in the existing stone wall, or
well, as part of the composition of the field, you've got a significant brick building being
behind the cathedral. Yes.
I'm just wondering why concrete was the obvious choice. So
okay.
Just two questions there.
Yeah. To me, I guess brick for me immediately when you're looking at shapes like that, I couldn't see a way to be able to create a shape like that out of the brick, and in situ concrete for me was the way to go. I was looking at precast originally, but looking at the mass of these, and I was talking to Emma a lot about it too, and we just decided that the formwork way of being able to do the in situ concrete was the way to go. I didn't really spend a lot of time investigating brick. It was a good question, but it didn't make sense to me to create this form out of brick. But I'm sure it could possibly be done, but in my opinion, it wasn't the way to go.
Okay, and fronting the street at that point?
So probably not totally resolved. Does definitely have the opportunity to step down more into the street,
or even just activate it. I mean, not just as a form. But the first question is not really about using brick. It's about context.
Okay.
It's about most stadiums, for instance, use a similar construction
that surrounds it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just playing with that.
Yeah.
But the other one is the context of this, how it might relate to the rest of the town. Like you mentioned shops and getting together and watching getting up at 2 a.m. and stuff.
Yeah.
It strikes me that this might be actually a very good space for that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
As in under here, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's made as under there, isn't it? Because it appears to be an undercroft space.
It is, yeah.
But you showed us there some plans of activities.
Yeah.
Perhaps they could be here, and then that would be a way.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Richard, Brett, or Peter?
Well, I just thought, can I just continue the context issue? Maybe there wasn't enough time in the presentation, but I would have liked to have seen the various examinations of types of locations that you could imagine using to just site the buildings or the stadium, and for you to convince yourself
that this was the right choice.
About what the strengths and weaknesses of your choices were. Because we know that there's a desire for promoters to have stadia right in the centre of town, but we know the complexity of getting 20, 30, 40, 80,000 people there, depending on where it is, in and out at times regularly enough to use the place, but without having a really negative effect on the existing fabric. So that's one aspect. So I would have liked to have seen that study on issues of coming and going and transport, and I would have also liked to see the study on the excavation, because it's particularly in our time when we really are concerned about land form and the significance of land form and the capacity we have now to quickly change and remove whole mountains or make huge holes in the ground, which are a magnification of what we have always done, but at a bigger rate and a lot more of it and less carefully considered. So I would have liked to have seen that, because just imagining the process of taking that ground out and the shoring up of it and the fencing up of it and the making of its edges, the wound that is made in the ground, would be something that you would have to convince yourself of, that you could discuss with the community. There are three sets of people that you're having to deal with. There's the state and the public authority. There is the investors, and then there's civil society, and they're the citizens of the place, which more and more will come to be a significant third party to all decisions about the city. So really, those are the two things that I think you would have had to convince yourself of, and you would present. Because otherwise, it's not in and of itself obvious that this is what we do.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
I wrote a bit my kind of thing.
Well done, fantastic presentation.
Oh, great, thank you.
Shame isn't have those drawings.
I know, I don't know. But anyway, yeah.
I was recently at Edward de Mora's stadium,
Oh,
and its strength is its structure.
yeah.
It's overwhelmingly powerful.
Yeah.
The field is beautiful and the pitch is beautiful, but strength is the structure.
Yeah.
But what and I think, you know, you've done that on its edges particularly well. Of course, facing north, Chris is right, that is a huge opportunity, that colonnade that runs through
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get diverted from the opportunities because we're focusing on the whole and not the opportunities around it.
Yeah.
The other thing about that stadium and about the church is procession.
Yes.
And procession, I think, is almost as important. Coming to the game and leaving the game, coming to the church and leaving the church.
Yeah.
And you'll find it at Edward de Mora Stadium, and you'll find it at the Church of Light in LA, and you'll find it at all these places. That the act of arrival and the departure, the arrival mainly, particularly for the players, but also for the spectators, is really, really important. I mean, a gathering place at the top there in the forecourt of the cathedral
Yeah.
could have been a really good sort of, I mean, maybe you had it in the site plan, I didn't see it.
Yeah. I mean, I have looked at, I mean, I'm not sure if it's me, but this roof here has been designed that it is a place that you can sort of mill, if you will, meeting your friends before you head down to the field and that kind of thing.
And how many people sit in the stadium?
2,500. Sorry,
So it's
maybe
not
didn't
big.
mention that before.
How many?
2,500. So it's not extremely large as a seating capacity.
That's tiny.
Yeah.
quite small.
So it's on par. Well, in terms there's physical seats, but if you think of number 2 sports ground, they can fit about 2,500 in there, but not on physical seats. It's more just around the
So
stadium.
there'll be more school games and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's not envisaged to be the Knights and all that kind of thing. It's an extreme rehabilitation facility that people can come and train at, and schools can come and play at, and that kind of thing.
So
yeah.
is its primary purpose rehabilitation?
Yes, and just giving Newcastle a place on the map for something that is the rehabilitation centre. Yeah.
That's a terrific vision.
Yeah.
I think the combination of sport and church is interesting. I mean, I wonder if there wasn't more to find in it.
Yeah.
It seems quite challenging now.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the mix lies or where it starts giving off complimentary or otherwise messages. But it seems like a very interesting interaction those two things.
It is. It's incredible.
I'm not sure that I've seen other than sort of going to church school games.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it happening that much actually. Is the stadium going to be a place for church gatherings?
Yeah, so the idea is that the facilities can effectively interplay amongst each other. So, if maybe there's whether it's a church festival or maybe there's a wedding or, something like that, there might be a state memorial service here for, maybe one of our Lord Mayors dies and that kind of thing.
So the connection is very important.
Yeah.
That connection, I think that walkway connection is extremely important.
Yeah.
And you might have had maybe you'd have a room something or something.
Yeah.
But it's a great, I've watched you go through the process. It's fantastic what you've done.
Thanks so much, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Did you see any other connections to the car park in front of it?
Did try and play with that as well. I was physically trying to get a connection to there. I guess it was either a matter of running out of time and just not being able to make it work. But I do see the connection that people can come park in the car park and come to the stadium as well.
This progression from the mighty cathedral down through the negative space and then the car park and then progression down to the Great Hunter River as well. And I wondered to myself what Horbury Hunt with a thought about your idea. Did you read up on him at all?
No, but you did tell me the story the other day about how he...
Well,
I read about him in terms of the cathedral, but not his life and not his other work.
He was quite a character. And I'm wondering how he viewed the whole issue of mind and body. Because if you go through back cultures, like you picked up on the Mayans, for example, but then you go to the Greeks, very much there was the connection between the mind and the body. And there is this very, very strong connection, I think. And Australians, for example, sport is more of a religion than religion, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
And so it's an interesting combination. I hadn't even thought to myself that place may become a sporting venue in front of as a forecourt to the beautiful cathedral. So, and the other thing that surprised me is only 2,500 people. It looks to me to be much greater than that.
Yeah, it was a limitation of the site, I guess, but I'd never set out to create a 40,000 stadium.
No.
It does. I've done the counting about 17 times.
But then the other thing that would be good for you to think about over the years to come, having had this as a project, is whether in fact you would have had the seating as not only the north-facing section, but the sides and the east and the west, and left the north-facing part clear, so that you could look right down across the Hunter River and across to Stockton and up to Port Stephens. It's a magnificent connection, and the cathedral is the right scale for that. Right? And the chances are that we're going to lose that presence of that cathedral through the developers and towers that they're going to stick up willy-nilly. And I have a feeling that it would be interesting for you to check that out. It might have been better as a great amphitheatre. Right?
Yeah, because this is more like the Greek theatre, if you're with the two tribunes, whereas the Roman amphitheatre would be that more of a approach.
They had the hills and so forth at the ends of it. But in this case it's different. And also the winter sun and so forth comes from there. But it's interesting. I find it really interesting. And so thank you for that.
Yep, I've really enjoyed chatting with you over it, and it's been really lovely to see someone's passion come through and just apply it to a project, and it's been a really nice experience.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed, and thanks for a great presentation verbally.